April. 18 plus, app only, one-time use daily, ends 14th of April. Participating restaurants only, subject to availability, T's and C's apply.
I'm Andrew Darwood from the Darwood & Tanner Dental Practice. For over 30 years, our team here have had one simple and clear vision: to provide the very best dental implant solution possible for each and every patient. And I'm proud to say that even in the most challenging of cases, we have patients we treated 30 years ago still smiling today.
Darwood & Tanner, celebrating 30 years at the forefront of world-class dentistry.
To find out more and meet our team, start at darwoodandtanner.co.uk.
School reunion. What am I doing getting these people together after all these years? The last time we shared a room, there was leg warmers and rah-rah skirts involved.
We can't help the uncertainty around getting old friends together. But when it comes to bringing your old pensions together, we can help. Transfer all your old pensions into one place. To combine, go to standardlife.co.uk. Transferring pensions won't be right for everyone. Money invested is at risk. Provided by Phoenix Life Limited, trading as Standard Life. For full details, visit standardlife.co.uk.
Ian Payne on LBC.
What are the pros and cons of raising the minimum wage, which is what's happening here today? It's going from, it used to be the over 23s. Now it's anyone over the age of 21 will be paid £11.44 rather than yesterday's £10.42. Does it help the rest of us, and does it stimulate the economy? So I've looked at another economic forum in macroeconomics by a group of economists working for a site called Investopedia. It's an American one, so it's looking at the American version of this. Talks about the minimum wage, the federal wage, the minimum wage. So the pros of raising the minimum wage. The primary argument advanced in favour of raising the minimum wage, this is from economists, not me, is that higher earnings improve the overall standard of living for minimum wage workers by providing them with an appropriate income level to handle the cost of living increases. So it's the living wage or minimum wage. A study by the Congressional Budget Office in 2022 analysed the macroeconomic impact, i.e. on the whole of the economy, of the standard minimum wage reaching in America $15 an hour in 2027. The information reported that 10.9 million workers would be directly affected, and an additional 9.2 million, this is in America, would potentially be affected. While some proponents of raising the minimum wage estimate that a much larger number of individuals and families will move out of poverty if they earn stuff. Employee morale could turn into more tangible benefits such as increased employee retention, and a boost to economic growth is another potential advantage of increasing the minimum wage. The cons, among the disadvantages of increasing the minimum wage, is the probable consequence of businesses, therefore, because their wage bill is up, increasing their prices of their product, and this, of course, fuels inflation. The simplest argument is if you pay more money with tax breaks and etc. to the rich, which is the quasi-Quartang view of economics, to stimulate the economy, the theory against that says those people will not spend that extra money on people. They will spend it on themselves, and they will also spend it and put it into an account somewhere that just sits there, offshore or whatever. Whereas if you give it to people who don't earn much money, they will use that money. They won't put it in a savings account. They will spend it, and that stimulates the economy. So it's fascinating. I think I tend to think paying the least well-paid more works better than the best paid. But if you want to convince me otherwise, please do. 03456060973. Oh, there you all are. He's finally, now you're all waking up and ringing me. Come on, let's be having you. We need a 12th man here. Here's Angie in Shrewsbury. Hi, Angie.
Morning, Ian.
Morning. Minimum wage, what's your thoughts?
Well, I just before the pandemic, I was on what you would call the national average. Mm-hmm. Pandemic came along, a lady in her 60s had very little option but to take a 0-hour minimum wage contract.
You're walking the plank. Go on.
Yeah. So while everybody who's got proper employment didn't worry about having last Friday off, or didn't worry about having today off, I worry about it because I don't get paid.
I'm the same, mate. I'm the same. Honestly, I'm on a 0 hours contract effectively as well, but slightly different. Go on.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about this going up by £1?
Well, it helps. It helps with all the increases that I'm facing today with my council tax, my rent, my broadband, my telephone, everything. So, in effect, I won't see any benefit from this pound increase.
Just say that again. Why won't you feel any benefit from it?
Because it'll all go on the higher increases to rent, council tax.
Right.
Water.
But you will be, I mean, you'll be better off than you were yesterday, won't you?
Yeah, I can see that argument, but when you're a single person and you're running a house all by yourself on minimum wage,
Yeah.
you can see the difficulty. I just hope and pray, if Labour do get in, which sounds like they will,
Yeah.
that they will look about getting rid of 0 hour contracts.
Let me, again, I'm sorry to Google while I'm talking to you, but I will ask you, I'm just asking Google what's Labour's policy on minimum wage and see if it's very different. Forgive me. Fair pay agreements will establish minimum terms and conditions. I'll have to read it because, as usual, with Labour, it's not very simple. Carry on. So, so you're not having a party with Bunting then today?
No, and I'm disappointed. Here I am awake, wishing I could go to work, and it's like compulsory punishment because the company takes the holidays, but I can't. Therefore, I can't earn. And I'm 65, 66 soon this year, and I don't see any hope of me being able to retire.
I know how you're feeling. Do you want to retire though? Because I don't.
Well, to be truthful, no. I've worked since I was 16.
Yeah.
So the thought of staying at home all day, I mean, this is crazy for me because I'm an early person. I listen to your show most mornings.
Right. Good.
And, yeah.
Well, I hope we cheer you up a tiny bit and we make it just a little bit more bearable because we're all suffering. Thank you so much. I'm going to read out what Labour has said here. Labour has a plan. Oh, here we go. No. Labour would introduce a genuine living wage. Let's see if they've got some figures here, or is it still just... Labour Party would introduce a minimum wage that takes into account the real cost of living if it were to gain power. A genuine... Angela Rayner said, genuine living wage that working people can actually live on will change the Low Pay Commission's remit so that the minimum wage will, for the first time, take account of the cost of living. What does Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor, say? Economic responsibility does not detract from advances for working people. Blah, blah, blah. It was the last Labour government, and so the government... What is often referred to... Yeah, so again, sorry. I knew it. Oh, please, give us some facts. Any of you, please, give us some facts we can work with. It would be great, wouldn't it? So, is this the text you put up here, Sam? This is from Labour, is it? OK, so they say, making work pay by introducing a new deal for working people and delivering a genuine living wage, banning 0 hours contracts, oof, good luck, and ending fire and rehire because creating well-paid jobs across all parts of the country will make working people better off and more secure. So they don't give any figures to it. So I don't... Again, I'm a little bit in the dark as to how they differ from the Tories on that respect. But anyway, no doubt we'll find out... Well, we should find out something sometime, shouldn't we? Holly's in Reading. Hi, Holly. Are you feeling happy today?
Yes, I'm feeling very happy.
Good.
Very happy.
Tell me why.
Because the minimum wage is going up, finally.
Woohoo. What do you do?
Woohoo. Well, I was a carer.
Oh.
So I was on... Yeah, I know.
How much is that now?
Well, I think it would be £12 something now, but it all depends on exactly who it is. Hold on, sorry. Exactly... It all depends, really.
Yeah. So what will you do with that extra £1 an hour?
Amazing question. Absolutely amazing. I put it towards probably... I don't know, it could be anything. It could be charity, honestly. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be rich to do charity work.
So I'm assuming it's going to be like a 10 quid a day extra for you, yeah? Something like that?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Right, okay. And
to be fair, yeah. yeah, I don't know what I do. I just put it towards small little utility things, like every little helps, like Tesco's, right? Yeah.
Well, they'll love
every
you.
Little helps. Every little helps. Every little helps. Every little does help.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So tell me about how the minimum wage affects you, your life and your budget. Are you constantly struggling or are you okay?
Me, I do struggle quite a bit. I do, obviously, I like to live life and go out with my son. Yeah, it does affect me, the minimum wage. It really does. And I think it's a day to celebrate today.
Good.
Really.
All right. Well, we'll put out the metaphorical bunting for you, Holly. Has today's raising of the minimum wage from $10.42 an hour to $11.44 an hour, and the limit is not 23 years old now, it's gone down to 21 years and above, will it affect your life? And for any macroeconomists listening, does giving the less well-off more money stimulate the economy more than giving the best well-off, that's not very good, Ian, the most well-off money? Which is better for the economy? 0345 6060 973 is the number to ring. It's also the number for our WhatsApp message service, the free internet-based messaging service. The old-fashioned one, texting 84850 is the number. The address on what used to be Twitter, but now, of course, is X. Couldn't be simpler, at LBC. And if you want to use your smart speaker, you can do so. Try and speak really clearly, though, when you do a smart speaker message, because Alexa tends to concentrate on the sound rather than the word. So the last hour we were Queers for Palestine became Quiz for Palestine. So if you try to do it, and then I don't get so confused when I read it out. Let's read out some of these texts. I'm paid... a lot of you in the NHS are really struggling. I'm paid less than the minimum wage, says Stuart. I'm paid $11.44 an hour. However, yes, that's the car parking charges again for you. Felix says, very unfair distribution of wealth to people in the UK. Look at the state pension. It's insultingly small compared to just 25 miles across the channel in France. Philip says, increasing the minimum wage will increase aggregate demand. I don't know what that means. As poor people tend to spend 100% of any pay rise. That would only be inflationary if companies could not increase production or imports didn't rise to meet the increased demand. Getting techno here, Philip. The net effect is likely to be a slight increase in both inflation and the balance of trade deficit. I think I understand that. Ian says, pay the poor more so they can spend the money, which they will. So that money is taken by companies owned by the rich. It's a funny old world, isn't it? 0345 6060 973 is the number to ring. And Mark, you're on a final warning. I don't ban people, but you're getting really close. It's 7:15.
Coming up at 7 on LBC, Matthew Wright.
The papers are calling it Price Hike Monday, miserable Monday, while the government insists we're all better off. So is the cost of living crisis really over?
Matthew Wright on LBC.
McDonald's winning Sips is back, with millions of prizes up for grabs again, like Coke glasses, Mackey's merch, festival tickets, or even one of our weekly 10 grand cash prizes. Great winning Sips now on medium or large soft drinks. Promotional drinks only. End 16th of April. App registration may be required. 18 plus. UK only. Terms apply.
Are you an absolutely huge fonter or a zoom-inner? Perhaps you're an arm stretched out like a zombie when holding a newspaper, or a squint so tightly at the menu the waiter thinks you're sleeping. At Specsavers, we get it. You don't want to admit it's time to become a glasses wearer. That's okay. We're ready to see you whenever you're ready to see properly. Book an eye test at specsavers.co.uk so you can see clearer. Okay, we'll stop with the ers now.
Can you have your cake and eat it? Well, if you're with Lloyds Bank and you're a Club Lloyds customer, maybe you can. With the Club Lloyds Advantage ISA Saver, you get instant access to your tax-free savings and a higher interest rate of 4.25% AER if you make fewer withdrawals. You don't even have to like cake for that to make perfect sense. To get your money moving, search Club Lloyd's Advantage ISA Saver. Open with £1, 4.17% tax-free variable interest paid monthly. Rate available if you make 3 or less withdrawals.
Cataracts are the world's leading cause of avoidable blindness. The metaverse can help address that problem. A virtual reality platform created by Fundamental VR and Orbis International helps train doctors to treat cataracts, resulting in more confident surgeons operating all over the world. With virtual reality training, surgeons can practice over and over to gain skills. Meta and the metaverse are having impact today.
At Big Motoring World, we love giving you a huge choice of low-priced cars. But we're bigger than that. Because we're big on all the things that matter to you. Like the little details that'll make your car buying experience a lot more From fully refundable online deposits to a free milkshake while you browse. See bigmotoringworld.co.uk. We're big on what matters to you.
Big Motoring World. This is LBC with Ian Payne. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
Right, let's get it on. This is an incredible story. So a collection of cassette tapes containing a host of unreleased Marvin Gaye songs has been found in Belgium. Let's speak to Matt Charlton, music journalist and broadcaster. Tell us more, Matt. Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's the age-old story. American soul singer looking to get clean, meets Belgian concert promoter in London, moves to Belgium a week later, records some demos, and also one of the biggest singles of his career, forgets about most of them, and then goes home and leaves the tapes in perpetuity to the people he was staying with. It's quite simple.
So he was basically trying to give up drugs. I think cocaine was his drug of choice, in a detox centre, and just forgot about all these records.
Pretty much, was sort of forgot, yeah. So he was in London, as you said, taking a lot of cocaine at the time, was looking to sort of get out of that cycle. He bumped into someone, and a week later he found himself in Belgium, and recorded, while he was recovering, doing all this running and exercise and convalescing, recorded loads and loads and loads of demos on cassette, including Sexual Healing, which was one of the biggest tracks of his career. But the rest of them he sort of left behind, didn't quite forget about them. He said to the family that he was staying with, a Belgian musician, I don't know if I'll pronounce this correctly, Chris de Molin, he said to that family, yeah, you can keep them, you can do whatever you want with them. And then he went, and they've just been found along with a wealth of costumes and notes and just this whole wealth of amazing material.
Will we hear all these records? Because as I understand it, Belgian law says after 30 years, whatever the material is, it becomes the property of the person who holds it, regardless of who actually created it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. It's not even material. It's a weird Belgian law that says it's your property even if you stole it 30 years ago and it hasn't been claimed.
Really?
Whatever that is. Yeah, I read that yesterday. Let's move to Belgium. Yeah, it's a weird one because it means that they own the actual physical recordings, but they might not own the publishing, which I think at the moment means they're having a few negotiations with the Marvin Gaye estate in the US to see what happens next. It probably means that at some point we're going to be hearing some new Marvin Gaye records, which is very exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Matt. Matt Charlton, music journalist and broadcaster, with the extraordinary tale of Marvin Gaye in a detox situation. Went to this guy Dumoulin's house in Belgium, underwent detox, left the recordings with this guy. And do Dumoulin's family have the right to keep the material? Well, under Belgian law, yes, but they are rather sought after music, aren't they? And I would imagine that there'll be quite a healthy debate going on. The most important thing is we just all get to hear them, don't we? One of the greatest artists of all time. You need to hear Marvin Gaye's back catalogue. Let's talk about the minimum wage. It's going up by £1 an hour from today. Is it a life changer? And maybe even more importantly, is it a macroeconomic changer? John's in Limehouse. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Listen, I'm going to get short. This is going to sound radical, all right? But the government can earn money from renationalising electric, gas, water, and the railway network, all right? Then they can scrap income tax altogether.
What?
Scrap it. Scrap the benefits. Scrap income tax. All right? Let the government earn money from renationalising items like electric, gas, water, and the railway.
Well,
If they scrap income tax, the employers and the employees would be a lot better off.
Well, of course they would, but what would the government get? Where would it get its money from?
Well, the government are there to govern this country. They're not there.
Well, how would they pay without
money from us?
Without taxation? How would they pay to buy the private companies you're talking that should be renationalised?
What, renationalise them? It's simple, isn't it? If people are paying for their electric, gas, water, that's where the government can get their money from. I'm sick of governments robbing us blind all the time.
So you want to end taxation?
No, I want to end income tax.
All right,
National
fine.
insurance, they can keep that. You know,
Right.
that's no problem because everybody pays into a kitty.
Right.
But you know, income tax should be scrapped.
All right, I'll leave that thought hanging on a bank holiday Monday. I think, I don't know, perceived wisdom, certainly in countries that would describe themselves as capitalist, is that you can't survive as a government without taxes. But, you know, maybe. Let's have a look here. So Joe has put us a little bit of a dampener on this. Today the utility bills go up, they do. So £1 an hour for the minimum wage will still be lost in the system. Let's have an election as soon as possible. Yeah, well, I think so. Shirley says, I hope Labour don't ban 0-hour contracts. Well, they say they will. 2 of my daughters are stewards at football and other events, and their hours vary from week to week depending on events available. Matt's in Birmingham. What do you think about the increase in the minimum wage today? Good morning.
There's a point that people aren't catching on this. So the minimum wage goes up. People on universal credit, they lose out. I don't know how much. I can't do the maths on it and that, but they're bound to lose out because they're earning more, so they're going to lose more on their universal credit.
Right.
So the government earns on it, so the government saves on the benefits.
Okay. Well, if the government would benefit so much, why don't they raise it by £5 an hour? Wouldn't that be even better?
They've got to do gently, haven't they? They've got to do gradually, haven't they? Otherwise, it will look too extreme. To me, it'd look too extreme, and then they would lose. Well, they're going to lose all the votes anyway. But in their eyes, you know, we don't want to lose too many votes if they haven't already.
All right, but do you think that paying the least well-off more stimulates the economy or not?
It will do, yeah. Well actually, you're saying that now because of obviously what's happened over the past few years with the economy and like the uncertainty. Are people, even the worst off, more cautious of spending their money these days? Because I've always said, you give the poorer more money, they're going to spend it more than the rich.
Yeah.
But are people more cautious because obviously pensions, you know, savings and all that, and you know, have we become more cautious?
I think so. I'm not sure an extra 10 quid a day will change the universe, but it'll help, won't it? It'll help.
Well, will it though? That's the thing. We could, you know.
So an extra 50 quid a week. It's bound to do some good, isn't it?
Yeah, 50 quid, yeah. Yeah, well, it'll pay for your fuel. A lot of people to get to work, it'll pay for the fuel, so they haven't got that expense. They have, but, you know what I'm saying, they haven't.
Okie doke. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry, I said it was Joe who'd sent... I don't know why this names at the bottom of text are often different to the names that people put at the end of their message. I don't know why. Today, so it wasn't Joe, it was Lawrence. Yeah, I know what you mean, Lawrence. Today, the utility bills go up, so this £1 an hour extra will still be lost in the system. Talking about our caller who says, let's get rid of income tax. Naeem says Dubai does okay without heavy taxes. Well, there are tax havens, aren't there? Like Monaco, for example. Again, I haven't studied the macroeconomics of Monacan society, but I would imagine that, there's quite enough money to go around, isn't there? And what else can we say here? The whole idea of paying the least well-paid more is quite an interesting idea, and I'm still trying to work out what Labour is actually saying that they're going to do with this. But anyway, I'm just trying to read through all this stuff here. Rachel Reeves, hopes to become the UK's first female Chancellor, said the party will aim to restore investment as a share of GDP to the level it was under the last Labour government. She said it's investment that allows businesses to expand, create jobs and compete with international rivals, with new plants, factories and research labs coming to Britain, not Germany, France or America. But today we lag well behind our peers for private sector investment as a share of GDP, with tens of billions of pounds less spent on new machinery and infrastructure. I'll say one thing for Rachel Reeves. She does come from a background where, she's worked in the city and she understands economics. Sometimes you see all these switching and cabinet reshuffles and you think, well, they can't be an expert in every field, can they? Anyway, listen, thank you very much for listening today. It's been good fun. I shall be back tomorrow, normal time, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. Make the most of your bank holiday. Hope you don't get pranked with an April Fool. If you missed any of today's show, you can listen back on Global Player. It is the official LBC app. You can have a look at our huge library of podcasts, and you can also pause and rewind live radio there. You can download it for free from your app store or head to globalplayer.com. Coming up at 10 on LBC, David Lammy. But now sitting in for Nick with your bank holiday breakfast, Matthew Wright.
Thanks very much, Ian. It's Easter Monday. It's also known as Miserable Monday, Price Hike Monday, with household bills from broadband to council tax going up once again. But the Prime Minister, he's keen to paint a very different picture when it comes to the economy. Here he is speaking a couple of weeks back.
Of course it's been tough. What a tough few years. COVID, and we started recovering from that, then with war in Ukraine, energy bills, inflation. None of that is easy. But we really have turned a corner at the start of this year.
Really? Is it time to say the cost of living crisis is finally over then? Or are things still as tough as ever? At 8, I'll be asking if there's any justification for the government withholding the legal advice they've received over the conflict in Gaza. And we'll be looking at the story of a Met police officer who appeared to say a swastika displayed at a pro-Palestinian march needed context.
Everything needs to be taken within context, doesn't it?
Why